And let's go ahead and do just a one card reading for this, because I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it very simple, guys. You see these cards are still very fresh. Do a couple shuffles like that. I guess you call those my card deck or card dealer shuffles. I know they say these are bad on the cards, but I feel like it gives a really good shuffle, so I still like to do it. I got them backwards. Yep. Anybody ever done that backwards? If you don't use tarot yourself, I highly suggest you try it out. You can get a very cheap deck online, or maybe at a store near you. There's nothing to fear. Tarot is whatever your mind perceives. You can't do anything out of your control. That's a fact to me. That's not an opinion, but you might see that as an opinion, whatever. The same way I view a Ouija board or any other tool. It's a tool you use. If you believe it's evil, it will be evil. If you believe that it's a positive tool to use, then it will be. It's what your mind perceives. So, let's see what card we get for today. It is now Wednesday, correct? I'm gonna look. I know it's Wednesday. We'll save that in the thing. It don't matter what date it is. Tarot is not something that's going to tell your future. It's not something that's going to change your future. It could give you signs. Or you may even feel that it did something like that. But that's not... It's so hard to explain. I feel like people take it in such a odd way. Like, I can't sit here and say if you're gonna have a baby or if your boyfriend's going to stay with you. That's all things that you have to figure out on your own. Advice is great if someone explains their situation, but outcomes are up to you. So, should I just draw off the top? Let's just draw right off the top. Alright, look at that. The moon. Beautiful card for right now, because right now, here in the Midwest, we are just now, I believe, waning from a full moon. Just got to a full moon. Last night, it was full. I will look that up and see. I think we're probably around like 90, 98, 97% maybe now, maybe 99, so I'm gonna look that up. But you know what, let's leave this out. Let's leave the moon out real quick, and let's just do one more, because that's very interesting that we got the moon. Also, when I do these, I could be easily just reading for myself. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's just because, remember, these are cards. They're cards in my hand. No one's asking me any specific questions. So, this is all coming from my own mind. I'm gonna split the deck this time, actually. I'm just gonna do a little three-way split real quick. Okay. And I'm actually gonna pull this one. I'm gonna pull this one out from the middle a little bit here. I'm gonna pull this one right here. I like this one right here. All right. Lord of Cups. So, Lord of Cups. Remember, Lord was king. So, King of Cups is what this card would be traditionally. Let's set these anywhere dirty. There we go. So, Lord of Cups is a very, very interesting. So, what I'm seeing here is so obvious. So obvious. This kind of reading here is not one that should confuse you or make you feel like you need to, you know, look up the traditional meanings. But there's nothing wrong. Actually, I feel like if you have never looked up traditional meanings and you're doing tarot, I wish I'd focus better. Focus, please. No, I just don't want to focus, does it? You should always look up the traditional meanings, is what I'm trying to say. Because they do have value, and they do have meaning. In other words, you know, cups have meaning, swords have meaning. Everything has meaning in tarot. Everything. But doesn't mean you can't get tarot like this. This is why I love this tarot. And it's kind of like a hybrid tarot oracle. So we have the Moon, okay, and the Lord of Cups. We can definitely see what this is telling us. Okay. Well, I just made them backwards, didn't I? Well, they were actually drawn this way, but I see it this way. See, that's what I do with tarot. I'm creative. I see the Lord of Cups, you know, with the Moon. So, actually, no, I'm backwards. So, I'm just confusing myself. With the power of the Moon, you can see the house being swept away by a wave. So, a tidal wave is taking that house, but then you can see the Lord of Cups. Okay, I had someone come out here, so I didn't want to be all awkward. My practice is very personal. I mean, they've seen my tarot cards, but they don't ask. But yeah, I try to keep it discreet in a respectful way. But as we were saying, so the Moon, the tidal wave. We all know, most of us get a little scared of full moons. You know, oh no, it's a wolf moon, it's a red moon, or blood moon. I mean, it's you know, it was, you know, some weird ones that aren't really scary, but I'd say wolf moon and blood moon are the ones that I always hear people like panicking over, and they're nothing to panic over at all. Wolf moon is symbolism. I believe that wolf moon really is about the brightness. It's symbolic for the brightness of the moon. Blood moon, obviously, we know what that's symbolic for. It has that look, that color, blood red. Here lately, last time it had an orangish look to it. Very, very cool. All it is the way that the sun and the way that the moon is in orbit. So it's not, you know, a biblical apocalypse sign, because if it was, then we'd have many of them by now, because the blood moon circulates quite often. And so the tidal wave's hitting the house. So if you imagine that's your own house, then you know the moon has the power to convince you that things are going to be swept away, but the moon also has power to sweep away the things that you no longer need. As you can see, the house is really just floating out there. So you know, you wouldn't have a house on the ocean. So remember, this is Mystical Dream Tarot. So it could be sweeping away all the things. Maybe you've been in isolation. I spend a lot of time in isolation, and this wave is waking you up, waking up your intuition, waking up your drive that you've been neglecting. So with the power of the moon, we have the Lord of Cups, which makes perfect sense for the moon, because the Lord of Cups has to do with the Lord of emotions, basically. You know, your emotions are very, very powerful, and you can see by the card that they are traveling from below, from above to below, from below to above. And you can see the Lord of Cups here, if you see this as yourself, is kind of in a way like a magician, taking these emotions and just they're going over his head. You can see his or her, it doesn't matter, no gender matters. It's just going over the head and circulating over, not through the mind, but above. In other words, the emotions are very much in control. You are creating your own destiny. The moon is not creating your destiny. The moon creates no one's destiny. The moon only inspires. The moon only influences the thoughts that you already have, that you may have been hiding or neglecting. I know when I look at the moon, I feel intense joy now that I understand things better within myself. Is there times that I sense fear? Yes. There's been many times in the past year that there was a full moon and I was in heavy traffic and I wasn't even thinking about the moon. Like, I just went out and I look up and I'm like, oh my God, there's a full moon. And everyone's acting crazy. But then there's times where there's a full moon and it's calm and the breeze is perfect, it feels nice. And my daughters say, wow, look how full the moon is, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's amazing. And it's just, we don't have to understand it fully to fully embrace it for how amazing it is, just being up there, changing, just like our emotions. Our emotions change. When someone says someone is bipolar and all this, I think we take that to the extreme. I don't believe I'm bipolar at all. I believe that I just have a lot of thoughts that I like to have built up in my mind, and I never sorted through them well enough. And that's all it was. Because the moon, okay, it's constantly changing phases. It's waxing, and then it's waning, then it's waxing, then it's waning, and it'll be in its crescent form, waning crescent, waxing crescent, and then it'll be, waxing gibbous, where it's, almost full but not quite, and then it'll be a full moon, it'll be half full moon, and it's just constantly going around. It's never going this way and then backwards. Always forward, always in a circle. And that's what our lives are like, our emotions. We can't hide our emotions, and we can't, people say they're going backwards. Oh, I keep going backwards. You can't go backwards in life. We can only go forward. And if you think you're going backwards, you're just repeating the same mistakes, which you should look at the moon to see the Lord of Cups here and the moon. That would relate with the moon. If you're repeating the same mistakes, that tidal wave keeps hitting the same time in the same part of your mind. You have to control your future, your destiny. And a lot of us today, I see a lot of Gen Z, even us millennials, myself, we've dealt with this. Don't look for acceptance in places you'll never find it. Look for acceptance within those, sorry about my ugly band-aid, within those who already understand you, because they experience and feel what you feel and experience. If someone is not going to accept you, in other words, a religion, a family member, a friend, that doesn't mean you have to cut ties with them. Just don't expect them to accept you the way that you look at yourself, because I would ask you, do you accept them? Do you accept them for the way they want to be accepted? I highly doubt it. You may say, oh, well, I accept them, but they don't accept me. Think deeply about that. Why do you need someone to accept you? If you're asking someone else to accept you for who you are or who you now believe you are, you're looking in the wrong places, because you're looking outside yourself. You need to look within. If you know who you are, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. The people that you want surrounding you will surround you eventually. Love those who disagree with you and let them be, because they are the ones being stubborn. But are you also being stubborn by wishing everyone around you to accept you? Why? Why must they? And I didn't deal with this a lot as a kid. I accepted myself for who I was. I was gothic. I was into music. Music was very influencing to me. I was a type, people didn't understand me. I'd be gothic one week. Next week I'd be wearing Shady Limited, baggy pants. Then I go back to Hot Topic style, because there's things I just loved, and I loved expressing the different things I loved. I loved hip-hop. I loved metal. I loved alternative music. I loved old classic music. I loved so much that people couldn't figure me out. So how could I have said, hey, accept me for this? They would have been like, for what? So learn who you are, embrace who you are, and if the people around you won't accept you, make them proud. Just make them proud. Love yourself. That's the first and most important thing. Love yourself. Thank you, guys.